Don't speak about listening with my eyes open. Don't speak about listening with open eyes, because that's extraordinarily hard. Don't challenge me. A passive body beside me crying happily. A body lying like a child but shaped like an adult. To play and interpret, playing together. Let me play the game with a lot of questions. I'll learn about you more that way. Can I lay with you just a moment? Eleanor simply jumps in. Her hair is extraordinarily long as she manages to jump off the cliff face. It flies behind her hair. The structure of the pier is almost like a trampoline in that it gives but holds when she needs to climb back on it. Flagpole, I mean. Eleanor is a flag. I'm draped in clothes shaped for a larger body, but they're almost weightless. My body also feels loose around my bones, but it's been a while anyway since it mattered. And we're standing there. Somehow the sun hasn't reached this area yet, even though the sky is blue, and I can see this kind of layer of blue light. I keep saying, I think it's going to be freezing. And the pier as it is, this metal deck is, maybe it's missing layers of wood. Maybe the layers of wood have been stripped away. I can stand on it comfortably wearing sandals. Through my weight, I feel the metal grill, and I can see somewhere below, not so close, the water is coming. Ludwig is there. With a swimsuit, my swimsuit, I think, but it fits him well. He's tucked his dick up. I can see the shape of his balls. His chest is flat. There's almost no nipple protruding. I'm so boyish. Eleanor wears a loose white muscle tee, faded print on the chest, on her nipple, I guess, and her long hair dries damp against it. Muscle tee, translucent like it's painted. That's what she has. There's a ladder up the side of the pier. Ludwig stands on the ladder, and on the rungs above him are folded towels. Ludwig turns to face the cliff. I saw him rub cheap perfume on his crotch in the duty-free outlet. Glass still sliding and rotating, and someone's holding a hammer and throws it at us directly. It's not glass, it's not far from the head. The aim is thrown into the crowd. This guy starts clapping and laughing. I think I'm angry at him, or I get upset, and all these other boys around him start laughing as well. And then we end up coming left and left again, and then we're inside what's kind of like a stockroom of a shoe place with a lot of fake shoes, a lot of shoes they pick up, rounded soles, maybe kind of pleated at the arch of the foot. Some of them boots, they look not badly made. Some of them are synthetic rather than leather. We start talking about the fake cabinet, and then I eventually go to the vending machine. No one wants anything from the vending machine. Besides, the Späti is open 24 hours. I'm very much the customer in this place, and I have really bought more than I need, flowers or whatever, and then some other kind of cheese, fold puff pastry things arrive, and I almost don't have to buy them. But then I keep drinking, and I want them, and I take them, and I feel great. It crumbles too. The cliff won't, not on my time, not on my watch. I remember my first taste of manchego. I remember my first taste of manchego. I remember my first taste of manchego. This is about the delusion of fidelity. I'm the type to stretch saran wrap over the toilet bowl of your eyes and stare up at the streams of shit that periodically come over your life. And then you hold them on your face. And then if the flow is heavy, you're glad, and you smear shit against their asses. But what you don't realize is that there's nothing wrong with shit. The problem is with holding on to it. That's the saran wrap. The moon is over. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm just on the phone. 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I was just telling them I'm on the line. So what? They want you to do an adaptation from a novelization of a film about a life based on documentarian research. Uh-huh. 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 Mm-hmm. What's the space of comparison in this context? Uh-huh. Yeah. The role of comparison, I mean. Okay. The best thing to say in this next meeting is that say, people, let's stand in direct contravention to time. To believe in the God of the Catholic Mass offers a position that you have the answers, that the answers, have arrived from the past. Something like that. Yeah, it's a showstopper. Yep. Okay, well, good luck. I love you. Yeah, I love you. My uncle was a pastor. And in the autumn Easter of Sydney, I was taken to the agricultural fair, the Easter show, trams of displays, grand pavilions where farmers from an imagined heartland would display their wares. The Country Women's Association with a competition for the best pies, cakes, blah, blah, fields of fruit laid out to resemble a huge Van Gogh harvest as strokes of color on a slope, rotting slowly over the weeks of display, and children and adults running around with the Goodfield show bags, Freddo Frogs, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cosmo Girl show bag, Men's Health show bag, Gourmet Traveler tote bag. And I draw in my notebook a field of wheat with crop circles cut out in the shape of Miffy, the rabbit that Dick Bruno built, that I'm so glad is Dutch. So when I cycle around Amsterdam now, I see that konijntje everywhere. And if I saw these crop circles of Miffy IRL, I'd think, who's in charge here? Escorted by my uncle the pastor, because my parents were weary of the crowds and spectacle, weary of the repetition, a yearly echoed, abstracted or figurative harvest. He asks me if I'll come to his church, if I'd like to learn the faith. And, well, some of you know me already. I'm not gonna focus on my spiritual health. I spend those days instead practicing, whatever, like music, the clarinet, going to church to instead stare at a naked man on a crucifix with his arms spread like he's flying a rag floating above his Johnson, a resting spot between cleaning like it's the toilet brush in its cradle, ready to scour sticky shit from the porcelain cheek of the loo. I care more for the health of spirits around me, than my spiritual health. When I was 14, I played the Beethoven clarinet trio on broadcast television. As in Australia, I like my trio a lot. Well, but the clarinet, as the wooden instrument heats, my air flowing through it, the pitch rises, it becomes sharper. I know so many things now about types of breathing, about the heat of air column, the way to make it sound like a voice. I even had a class with Alan Hacker where I tried a double embouchure reed written up so high the hardest ones just become like flypaper, yeah. Like I was so intent to fail myself. My nose began to bleed while on television it's sliding over and into my lips, tight around the mouthpiece, dripping down around my chin and splashing on the shirt past the bow tie that I think of is even more humiliating now, more humiliating than weak capillaries and brain hemorrhaging down through nose. I mean, I know that's not what's happening, but I believe. My intonation and attack became less as my nose burbled, imagine my nose as stigmata, the nose as the hand, gestural, weeping, sensual. I'm sorry to my uncle. The icon aches. I cast myself as this figure in my life. I was the one that could offer salvation to myself. Me, as adjunct to Western music. I'm doing what I believe in. I am doing it what I believe in. I gave up weekly religion for the practice of music, but this isn't about my own practice of devotion. It's about the delusion of fidelity. Do you remember that time we went for a drive? Before you taught me what a nil vice was, and I thought that a red Gauloise was one height of chic, and we hit a deer. You played me all this music I didn't know, and I played all this that you didn't know, and it all sounds the same to me. We hit a deer, and it bounced into the brush by the side of the road, and I remember the sound of its galloping body or antlers denting into the metal, the loud whisper through the roadside bushes as it lopes. Of course, perhaps demented into the field. I want to talk to the deer. I want to hear from the deer. Okay, it's the deer talking to us now. The act of becoming something, to become one with someone, the commune, the communitas, immunitas, containers. I stopped thinking about Lyme disease, Zika infections, writing a text for an unborn child, sepsis and militia, purgeable capacity, childlike hard drive, locked in grooves, a new outlooks. Before it all closed, I went to a series of museums which had extraordinarily charged objects. They had been laid on the wall as though placed in matter. I remember staring at a net trap after having read that it was a ceremonial kind for capturing ghosts, and felt frustrated that no one would ever reclaim this twining of natural fibers with meaning. I stared at the death mask, thinking to myself, how many degrees of separation is this death mask from the real thing now?
What do I know now? Thought I'd know better by now. He knows me better by now. What I wouldn't do for him, what I wouldn't choose for him. I can never remember his face, but it's over and everywhere, like the sky, like air, like. Thought I'd know better by now.
I sit in the audience. It's a premiere. He comes out at the end of the new work, and he's partnered 1, 2, 3, 4 with 5, 6, 7, 8, and no one's surprised. It's not supposed to be surprising. You see couples, and that's what I see. You see, I know him. He's a homosexual, and I am tired. I'm tired of the passing, that way that people try to pass in a heterosexualized way. I think for a moment. Do I expect to see myself on stage? To be found in reflection? Have I come to the concert hall for concert dance? Or did I want a reflection on our shared time with other wings, with other illusions? Did I think we'd recognize a future for ourselves, and then suddenly it's not at all about me. It's about the passing. The way we continue to act out the dreams, the lifestyles, acting out the lives that we don't live, and doing that in a ticketed space. Remember, it's not a public space. It's not for everyone. There is no more public, I think, I feel. And so in this space where we see these, where we see, we hear, we're seeing, we see what we recognize as giants. I just have a real deep-seated anger and resentment that my world is changing too slowly. I know people come from another era, another time, and I wish I knew how to distribute another time. I'm doing what I believe in. The moon is above. If you're looking for subculture, it still exists, but not in me. I place myself beside altars. This is the real texture of my skin. Fuck spiritualism. I resist spiritualism. I felt bored. I slid. I delineated, macerated folly. I slid a cup over, no horror felt. I slid a cup over, no horror felt. Ancient corpse runneth over, it floweth, it runneth, it wanneth. Doing what I believe in. The moon is above. If you're looking for subculture, it still exists, but not in me. I place myself beside altars. This is the real texture of my skin. Fuck spiritualism. I resist spiritualism. I felt bored. I slipped. I delineated, macerated folly. I slid a cup over. No horror felt. Ancient corpse runneth over. It floweth. It runneth. It wanneth. Let me be clean. I wanna be like you, invisible, indivisible. Here's my coffin. I have no stakes in this, a sleepless night. Boring fragrances off the rack sifted through halls. Can you imagine? Let's share a drink together. electrician father was killed in a freak accident. He was born 10 years before in a house on Hollywood Boulevard. Talkies and musicals. I danced, I became a wife. I learned basketball for him. He drank. At our wedding, the fire engine sirens sped past the courthouse chambers, drowning out the ceremony. It's strange how fans speculate on trivia and find it significant. The judge thought my husband was marrying my mother. My husband, Junior, was his dog, a Saint Bernard. I bred Junior's children into champion dogs, and one of them starred as the dog Beethoven in the film. Oh, this time I can't believe you couldn't see that in the dark you were in front of me. I've been sleeping 1,000 years. It seems got to open my eyes to everything without a voice, without a sound. Oh, let me die here. Bring me to life. Wake me up inside. Wake me up inside. Call my name and save me from the dark. Make my blood to run before I come undone. Save me from the nothing I become. I'm Gloria, the Saint Bernard. I know my origins. The skin on my back feels thick and wide. I adore swimming, particularly in the summers. Bred by Eleanor Keaton, I'm from a family of champions. Buster's dog Junior is my pater familias, Domine Deus Agnus Dei, Filius Patris. This is who I belong to. The magistrate's dog rhymes with this. It sounds like an echo. Feed me manufactured beef. You know, beef is beef. So thanks to everyone who took the time to send such kind comments and even prayers for Tigger and sympathy for us. So my sister cat Tigger, who's been with us since the day we moved into this first home of ours, was attacked last Wednesday on our property by a neighbor's unrestrained German shepherd. Among other trauma, he shook her and paralyzed her. Despite agony, she never once even growled as she was slid onto a board and taken to a vet. She began to rally a bit, and the X-rays showed she was in the spinal shock, but no broken bones. She improved marginally, purring for the vet's crew and winning friends. The vet kept her at the front desk so they could pet her, and she could be sociable. She fought to live for 5 days, and today, her body began to give up, and Ludwig and I held her while the vet injected her. She purred the entire time and even licked my hand before she died. The vet and his people were crying along with Ludwig and I. Ugh, for anyone who doesn't like cats or thinks they have no love or loyalty, this is the cat that attacked a pit bull to protect my baby, and who landed with claws and teeth flailing on the head of a man who tried to break into my home one night. She also purred to each of my babies as they moved in my belly, and I joked that my kids would come out meowing. The youngest actually did. I am heart sore at how she died, although I am certain she will return on the wheel when she is ready and will come out bouncing back into our lives somewhere down the road. Winter mother, I'm pulling from your circle a bit. Diversity. What does he want to say? Going round and round and round in the circle game, fast vibrato. Do you remember the moment when the boy from Paris comes over to tell you that he cannot wear that wig over his face because he did not come this far to not show his face? So to retaliate, you cast him in a role with a mask. But you know his body is more empowered to be expressive in this way, so you're not a criminal. Sometimes it's unbelievable that people think they're not being seen. And sometimes it's true. They're simply not. Credo becomes credulity, I believe. Latinate translation as I look at the capillaries broken around my nose and then thighs. Sincere discourse rings true. And when the towel already smells like it's dirty or that its past use has been wrung out, true, Ludwig dropped it on the floor and the pattern on the linen towel looked almost like a face. And let's say it for the sake of propelling what I believe, it looked like Christ's face. I screamed at him and he didn't hear, or let me take that back. It looked like some guy's face that I desperately wanted to be Christ, again entwined with the so-called morbid humiliation of being on one's knees, mopping up spilled piss with TP, splish, splash, divert, streaming. Yeah, another strength of mind cleaning. Stuck circuit sparking with a clicking sound every second. Is that what they refer to when they say shilling for Hillary? Got cursed at again for shoplifting, running away without paying the bill, lying under a tap near the head, hearing that's bad for the flow of feng shui, raging like a stream after a lost penny, shilling blackened by grime or time. Duh.
Yeah!